global ocean is changing its circulations, its temperatures, its acidities, its relations. Today, what we used to imagine as the space beyond our lands, the space that we could look at from our holidays, is here. It is transforming and being transformed by us. I am gonna guide you through a very quick section of the multiple transformations that the ocean is undergoing. It's a little glimpse into a vast project that Territorial Agency has been conducting over the years with multiple groups of scientists, artists, activists, passionate and also withdrawn. It is a project that connects the incredible amount of information, scientific information, data, that is produced every second to monitor the transformation of our planet. It is information that we are connecting into images. It's information that we connect into images from data that is collected from satellites orbiting the oceans, from airborne sensors, from sensors droning around the waves, and connected to underwater sensors. You hear from time to time the rumble over my voice. That is a series of data of microsensors monitoring the Earth in order to listen for possible abrupt changes in the vibration of this living planet through the CTBTO monitoring system. What we've done in this project is to work by bringing all these data together. We've identified a new figure that is the rising horizon of the contemporary ocean. It's a figure that we don't completely yet understand. It's what the geologist and paleontologist Peter Haff would call the Technosphere. It is made of all humans and everything that sustains us. All that we eat, farms, domesticated animals and plants, fisheries, all the energy systems that control our life and sustain our life, and the information structures, like a music festival or like a political organization, a university. And this used to be a system that we imagined was completely in our control. It was made up, and it was imagined as being made up of structures that are composed by our elements. More and more design can lead to a better improvement of that system. Today, the structures of the technospheres have reached a different magnitude, and you start seeing in our project, in this complex assemblage of the sensors that are composing the technosphere, a figure that has reached a magnitude similar to the entire biosphere. And what we are seeing is that in the rise of the technosphere that has now become so vast, we start seeing the emergence of a new tipping point, of a new figure of our living planet. And we call this transition the beginning of the epoch of the Anthropocene, the geological structures marked by the rise of technology, by the rise and impetus of technology. This rise is disrupting every single territory, every single structure that keeps us alive, and it is organizing multiple reflections and refractions, so that the only way that we can start understanding that it's not any longer a structure within our remit to organize, but it's a self-organizing component of the Earth that is driving us. We are no longer in charge of our technology. We only strive to maintain it and sustain it. The technology is not a tool for us. It is a structure, it's a highly dynamic structure of the Earth that is now disrupting completely the horizons of our planet. The horizon is the interception of our gaze with the surface of the planet. From land, the horizon articulates a space that we can imagine can be subdivided, can be organized in structures of property, very complex technologies of appropriation and extraction. At the level of the waters, the horizon starts articulating itself in far more complex ways. Within water, it is made up of refractions. It is made up of echoes, reverberations. Today, if we are going to be good boys and girls, we are in a situation where the contemporary horizon is going to swell. Because if we manage to meet the minimum levels that we've agreed with the Paris Agreement on climate change of 2 degrees above pre-industrial temperature, the horizon of the ocean is going to rise in the coming century well beyond 3.6, maybe 6 meters above contemporary levels. And the news is that it's rapidly accelerating, and this is a very conservative condition. 3.6 meters implies that images like the ones that you see that were spanning across trajectories connecting the entire Earth will see areas that are currently inhabited by around 1 billion people will be completely covered in water. Murky water, water flushing over land surges, landfills, waters covering harbors, oil industry, hospitals, nuclear power plants, the entire system of inhabitation that we think we are in control of. What we've built in the last 30, 40 years as a rapid urbanization of humanity is going to be completely underwater. And when we started looking at the images of what we are aiming for at the Paris Agreement, and we've contributed in making it work. We've contributed at Territorial Agency in thinking how to make the Paris Agreement work. How do you organize the negotiations? How do you bring all the stakeholders together? But if we actually meet the Paris Agreement and the rumble of the Earth, looking for detections of possible transformations, interrupts us, we would have a situation that is completely untenable. We'll have a condition that will cover areas that will be inhabited by the size in terms of population of India, the largest country on the planet. We'll have to move. So, if the ocean is now concomitant, coherent with technology, with the technosphere, and it's no longer possible to make a distinction between land and sea, but we only know so little of the ocean. In this zigzag images, it's the only parts in white are the parts that we actually know of the ocean. All the rest is made up. It's trying to catch a glimpse. We will be in a situation where we'll have to imagine how to be as close as possible to technology in order to understand this new figure, in order to understand its new dimensions and its new dynamics, and in order to alert ourselves to sea level change, to the complex dimensions of sea level change. We need to imagine where the Earth becomes the most sensitive. And it is exactly where the land meets the ocean. James Lovelock, the developer of the Gaia theory and the Gaia hypothesis, indicated how the entire dynamics of self-regulation of the ocean is exactly at that point. And here you see in this multi-temporal image of Houston, we have a problem. The transformation of the impervious surfaces. We heard how we need to retain water. We flushed all the water straight into the ocean. And every time that you have a moment of extreme weather, which is also sea level change. It comes from the sky. It doesn't come only from the waves. You start seeing how urbanization is exactly what we need to focus on within the sensible zone, that very thin space that interacts between land and water, between minus 200 meters where light reaches to 200 meters above sea, where the majority of our infrastructures, where the majority of humans live. We need to act there in order to become sensitive to the most sensitive component of the Earth, and in order to start acting, in order to understand this new figure of technology interfering with the Earth. It's what we call the sensible zone. It is the most sensible component of the Earth, but it's also the most sensed, the most clearly monitored through remote sensing, through measuring technologies, boreholes, and so on. And the question, the real task that we have ahead of us in the next 30 years is to re-urbanize that sensible zone, this time not with concrete, but with more biosphere. We have 30 years ahead of plenty, an idea of plenitude, of more spaces for water, more biosphere, more farmlands, more capacity to be together. And the task will be how to democratize that space. The task will be how to democratize the technosphere. How do we democratize the environmental data that tells us about this transformation of the planet? Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. I also want to ask you a question. And that is that how do you see your society connecting water with building and living in the future?
We are Tomorrowland. I think that it's, you have to change the title. It's Today land. The conditions of building has always been intrinsically one of separation. You build a structure to keep yourself dry. Architecture is the key element in this. And in order to understand how we're going to be in a situation that is not just dry, but understand wetness as the condition of survival, we are wet. We are hydro. We need to reimagine our architecture. We need to be open on all sides. We need to be open to negotiations and to wetness. Whenever we plan ever a new building, it needs to have a similar structure that prevents the impervious side. It needs to retain more water. But we cannot do one building at a time. We have 30 years to rebuild the entire urban structures of our planet. There's a lot of work for architects ahead.
That's indeed a lot of work, but thanks a lot for this inspiring answer.